Now, in the city of Portland, we're just a month away from the beginning of a switchover to the new form of government. Now, the legal change doesn't really officially happen until January, but the folks running the show, they want to start practicing now. They worry that waiting until January to try all this is going to be an invitation for disaster. So tonight we're going to look at how the new budget, which also starts July 1st, is going to help bring that change. First, in case you've not been following along, here's a quick recap. Voters in Portland have said enough of the antiquated form of government we've had for more than 100 years. It allowed the 4 commissioners and the mayor to actually run specific bureaus in the city, and that did not work so well. The structure allowed the bureaus to become walled off from each other, creating silos, controlled only by that commissioner. They didn't have to play nice with other city bureaus or even listen to the direction of the mayor. So you could see that's kind of a recipe for dysfunction, huh? Over the years, the bureaus created their own communication teams, asset management teams, human resource teams, technology teams, and more. But that will change officially January 1st of 2025, and long before that, like July 1st, the city will start that soft launch of the new system. Under the new system, nearly all the bureaus are grouped into 6 areas, overseen by deputy city administrators, and then above them, a city administrator. The interim city administrator right now is Mike Jordan. I talked with him recently about the changes.
If you look at our budget that starts on July 1st, not only are there a whole bunch of numbers, but there probably will be about 20 budget notes. And those are instructions from the governing body when they adopt the budget to us, the management, on look at a whole bunch of things. And we've got this is more budget notes than we usually have. And I think it is, I think it's a result of where we are in time.
Well, I checked and I couldn't find 20, but I definitely did find 15. And the very first one is for something called the Impact Reduction Program, which is a fancy name for Portland's program to clean up homeless sites. The budget note shows costs for this program have increased 300% over the past 3 years. The note directs the leaders to work with the new deputy city administrators to get those costs under control and to look for new ways to pay for the program. So it's an example of what he's talking about. Here's another one. It tells all the city bureaus to work together to share data. One example, improving the collection, use, analysis, and sharing of data within and across the city service areas to implement the charter reform. And there's more, lots more. But you get the idea. With the new structure, that charter reform, the budget is being used to create new ways to run the city. And those new ways will hopefully make it more efficient and responsive to you, the public, and the taxpayers. Now, Jordan, the interim city administrator, whose job it is to turn the city's massive ship of bureaucracy, well, he says that budget is a powerful tool.
The intersection of the transition and all of the change we're talking about, and a challenging budget year. Those things, the intersection of those things has brought up a whole bunch of ideas about things we ought to look at. And if you look at them, they're mostly good ideas. Can we do them all at once? It makes me a little scared for the next year, but we'll do the best we can to get after those questions, because they're good questions to ask.
And sometimes tight budgets or issues like this bring up the opportunity to say, sorry fellas, we got to do this.
You are absolutely right. And the nice thing about having the governing body give you that specific direction is you can hold it up to the bureaucracy and say, hey, we got to do this. And oh, by the way, it's got this date in it, and I've got to have it done by that date. So that's really, it is a benefit to, a chief executive in a public agency.
And that's exactly who he is. So Jordan is going to use the orders from the city council to change a lot of things. Remember, with Portland's unique form of government, the old one that's about to go away, nearly every bureau has become a silo with no incentive to cooperate. So the change in charter, which kicks in January 1st, is going to require those silos to come down. Jordan and his team will step in July 1st and slowly begin transitioning the system to the city to that new system. And there will be a couple of new bureaus, by the way, like the one that's going to take care of all the city's stuff called asset management. Is that the type of thing you're going to start doing on July 1st? You're going to start looking at
all these different disciplines, the officers. There's a office in the org chart that says asset management on it. We don't have an asset management office right now, and yet we have multiple bureaus that manage multiple asset classes. And quite frankly, we've got some bureaus that do, well, we've got one bureau that does really well. The Water Bureau is very good at asset management. We have a few bureaus that are pretty good at it. And then we have a few bureaus that, you know, I like to say they're wandering for food and shelter out in the wilderness. You know, they're kind of Maslow's hierarchy. And so what we need to do with that office is talk about to ourselves, basically, what do we need from an asset management office? Is it people who just set the standard of practice, advocate for maturing the places where it's not so mature?
And assets are, is that cars and trucks?
No,
or is it buildings,
well, cars and trucks are an asset, but it's buildings, it's HVAC systems, it's also sewer and water pipes, it's also water treatment plants and wastewater treatment plants, 100 pump stations in the wastewater system, every mile of roadway, sidewalk, you know, parks, assets, and community centers, and
pools and things.
Pools and all kinds of, they're all assets. And we've got lots of classes of assets, and historically, they've been managed bureau by bureau.
In that silo.
Yeah. And then it comes to city council, and they need to think about, all right, what are our capital maintenance priorities? If we were going to go to the voters for a bond issue, which asset class would we ask them for? And, you know, so trying to figure out the priorities when it's done bureau by bureau by bureau is challenging. So one of the ideas with this asset management group is they're currently put in the city operations. Makes sense. But if you were thinking about part of their duties to be capital maintenance planning, then they might be better over in the budget shop and doing the capital version of asset planning. So, so a lot of questions, and we're going to go through those and try to make the place run better. You know, that's the job.
Now that is an example of a big issue. The budget note for assets shows the city has $80 billion worth of stuff, but there's no centralized way to track what's happening with it right now. Under the new system that Jordan's setting up, though, there will be. So again, he hopes to get a handle on things like all the city's assets and to use those budget notes to tackle tough issues like why the cost of cleaning up homeless camps is going up so fast. I also wanted to know how he's going to use a new layer of bureaucracy with this new government structure. Those are the deputy city administrators.
As your viewers may say, it's kind of expensive and it's a new layer of management and bureaucracy. Well, okay, how do we take advantage of that and start to pull those things up and examine them and make them more efficient and more effective? And what role do those offices play in that? And I think it could be a huge role. I think it might be kind of the golden key of being able to change the way we've always done it into the way we should do it in the future.
So will the deputies be in, you know, that morning, walk in, and they'll be in a room with the meetings? Hi, everybody. The deputy's the new one in charge from now on?
Interestingly enough, as you might expect for the city of Portland, we're doing things a little uneven. The commissioners have appointed these folks. Some of them are in their role right now. The commissioner has said, I want you to start now. And I want you to begin having those meetings with all the directors and going to staff meetings and getting familiar with them. So some of them have started. The mayor has said, you start on July 1. And so officially now we're getting together, we've been meeting, we're trying to figure out, okay, who are we and what are we going to do? What's the work plan? And then we will shop that work plan, draft work plan, with the directors on May 23rd. I want to get them on board because we'll need them to be effective. So get them on board, kind of get us all rowing in the same direction about what we're going to do for the next year, and then execute starting July 1.
It's going to be interesting.
You're smirking at me, Pat. It will be interesting.
I'm smiling in admiration that you're shouldering this.
It will be, well, thank you for that, but great teams. I've been working with the directors for almost 2 years preparing for this. So the directors have been working on this. This is not new. They know it's coming. They were the ones who helped formulate the structure. So we've been prepping for a couple of years for July 1 and getting ready to start practicing in earnest.
I got to say, I really do enjoy interviewing Mike Jordan. He knows what he's talking about. He talks like a normal person. He answers questions. I wish other people would do that. By the way, one of the first changes Portland is doing is simplifying its unwieldy permit process for buildings. It drives a lot of people crazy. Yesterday, the City Council approved grouping most of the permit and development folks into one large bureau with about 350 people. That new structure for permits and development kicks in on July 1st. It's going to be fascinating. What do you think about it? Are you as fascinated as I am? We're going to have more with Mike Jordan next week. As you'd guess, there's a lot to cover here. It's a historic change. First time in 100 years we've done this. Email your thoughts to us, will you? The address again, thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.